Welcome back. Max Action here, and you are here with me, and we're building something amazing. It's Build Something With Me, and we are working toward that 90-day goal. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about today is this is something that really ends up tripping people up as they are trying to move in a new direction. They're trying to accomplish more in their lives. And yet, this is an obstacle that you're going to run up on. If you haven't already, it's probably going to happen sometime soon. So I want to give you the tools and the techniques to be able to combat that when it happens. And those are setting your boundaries with your personal relationships and sometimes even business relationships. Some people don't have boundaries. And not having boundaries is what keeps you stuck in the same continual pattern and having such difficulty moving and transforming into being the person that you want to be. Now, sometimes those boundaries can look like or even having no boundaries can look like being in a relationship and the relationship constantly needs attention. If it's a wife or a husband, a boyfriend or girlfriend, or even just a good friend of yours who's constantly saying, hey, let's go watch a movie. Hey, let's go watch TV. Hey, I need your help with something. Hey, can you not do this at this time? Hey, I really need this done by this time. And all of a sudden, the important work that you have, you're trying to schedule around this person. How are you supposed to focus on you and becoming the best version of yourself if you're constantly trying to put your hard work and your growth around everybody else? See, this is where your priorities come into play. It's determining what you're holding as a priority. If it is content creation, is creating content a priority for you? Or does everything else come before that? People needing your help, people needing to talk to you, people distracting you from creating content, people needing you for whatever it is. But all of a sudden, it's late at night and you're tired and saying, ugh, I just don't feel like creating anything right now. I can't think of anything. I can't script anything out. I just can't do it. It's too late at night. I'll try and do this tomorrow. And then what happens tomorrow? The same thing. The same thing of, hey, do you got a minute? Hey, I need help with this. And all of a sudden, your priorities are derailed. Now, this is why this is really important right now, is because we're moving toward a 90-day goal. So every single day, we need to be pushing just a little bit further, but we have to have our boundaries up in order to do that. Because if we have no boundaries, then everyone can step on our time. We have no priorities, and everybody else's stuff becomes a priority for us. At that point, we just become firefighters. We're busy putting out fires every place, and we're not focused on the priorities that are going to get us further than we want to be. If you've ever seen somebody that starts off trying to lose weight, trying to change their life, trying to do things in a different method, and all of a sudden gets derailed by all of the stuff that normally happens, this is why. They didn't set up a boundary for it. They didn't have a way of being able to say, no, I can't do that yet, or I can help you out, but it has to be after I'm finished taking care of my stuff. Because your priorities are so important, because that's what moves you forward. If you don't have priorities, or everyone else's priorities come before yours, you're never going to get to where you want to be. The same thing is true if you don't have any boundaries or if you don't enforce those boundaries. Because if you tell people, hey, I need to do something before I'm able to help you, and yet you push that aside to go help them, what have you done? What's the message that you've communicated to them? You've communicated to them that you are open and available anytime that they need you, and they're going to take advantage of that. And then when you finally set a boundary, they're going to say, wait a minute, I don't understand what the problem is. You've always been able to do this before. The same thing is true if you start crossing your own boundaries, which people do constantly. They're going to set up a boundary that they need to be able to get their videos done before they do something else. And then they tell themselves, you know what, I'll just do my videos later. You've crossed your own boundary. And the more times that you cross your own boundaries and you don't enforce them for others, the more times you solidify that pattern up here. Once you've solidified that pattern that you're willing to cross your own boundaries, you stop trusting yourself. And the moment that you stop trusting yourself, you stop taking action because you don't actually believe that you're going to follow through with it. So boundaries are critically important for you to be able to set and enforce. Now, a lot of times it might not be easy to tell someone no. If it's your kids and they say, hey, I need your attention. I need you to help me with something. I need to play. I need to whatever the case may be. You might need to tell them, I definitely hear you. I'm going to play with you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do whatever it is that's necessary. And first, I also need to do something for me. Can you support me in that? Or if it's a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever, you tell them the same types of things. If they say, hey, let's go watch TV, you say, I would love to do that. Let me first take care of my stuff that I've got on my list. Because your priorities need to be the first things that you focus on and not the last. As long as you continue to put yourself last, you're always going to come in last. You're always going to give yourself just that little bit of energy at the very end rather than all the energy that you have when you're feeling fresh and you're feeling ready to go. If you're waiting until the very end of your day to cram in the stuff for you, it's probably not going to happen. And it's going to keep getting pushed to the next day and the next day and the day after that. And guess what? 90 days from now, you're going to be looking back and saying, nothing has changed. And there's a reason for that. Unless you prioritize you getting better every single day, unless you prioritize all of the things that are important to push you to that next level, whatever those things are that allows you to complete the goal for the day, that leads to the goal for the week and the goals for the month, unless you prioritize those things, they're never going to happen. And no one can want it for you more than you want it for yourself. So start thinking about where people consistently ask for your help, where they consistently try to distract you. Ask yourself the same question. Where do you consistently try to distract yourself? Where is it in your life that you constantly get pulled away from what's really important? And now decide, make the decision today to set that boundary and say, no more. I can't do it. I need to focus on me and I need to focus on my priorities before I even think of giving in to doing anything else. Your time is important. You get a finite amount of it. The same is true with energy. Energy is finite. You only have so much throughout the day. And if you waste that with other distractions, and you waste that by stepping over your own boundaries and letting everyone else's priorities become your priorities, guess what? You'll never have that sustainable change. But all you got to do is you set those boundaries in place and you honor them. So you know, hey, when it's 12 o'clock, I'm making my content no matter what. Everything else gets shut off. Everything else gets completely shut out. And that's when you've got the time to focus and to get the accomplishments made that are going to get you to where you want to go and are going to transform you into the person that you want to be. That's how you do it. By setting up those boundaries and then taking action. Pretty crazy, I know, but I know you can do it. And I know that while you might get some dirty looks, you might get some people that are upset with you saying, what, I'm not important enough to spend that time on? And you can simply tell them, you're extremely important. And this is important to me as well. And I want you to support me in doing and transforming and becoming the person that I want to be. Now, some people are going to be extremely upset that you set boundaries with them. And that's going to be one of those things that you've got to really think to yourself, if they're that upset with your boundaries, is this someone that you really want to have in your life? Because sometimes it's even more important that if someone's not going to be respectful of you and they're not going to respect your boundaries, then that's someone that you need to have very limited contact with, if any at all, because they're constantly going to distract you from your priorities. They're constantly going to push and test your boundaries. And that's not someone that's really supportive of you changing and becoming the person that you want to be. So look to your life. See where you have boundaries that need to be enforced. Figure out what boundaries those are and put them in place and hold tightly to them. And I guarantee you, you're going to get a lot further along with your boundaries than you will if you allow people to constantly step on them. Set those boundaries and make sure that you enforce them. And above all, check your priorities, do what's important to you, and take action now.